I thought this was just an ordinary train ride, but I never expected it to be a journey to hell. And I am the only one on board who knows all the rules. If you want to survive and get off this train, sit still, don't move, don't look around. And for God's sake, keep quiet. My shoulder ached intermittently. This was the 101st time I regretted taking a job 1,000 miles from home. Every trip home required not only changing trains, but also enduring long layovers. I had just gotten off the previous train and was sitting in the waiting room, the thought of enduring another 3 hours making my shoulder ache even more. The check-in for the K44 train from Pinneview Station to Evergreen Station will be closing soon. Please proceed to the gate promptly. Evergreen? Isn't that my destination? I looked up at the large screen. Train K44. Why hadn't I noticed it before? The number sounded a bit unlucky, but having to wait 3 more hours was despairing just thinking about it. I couldn't hesitate any longer. If I didn't decide now, I wouldn't be able to change my ticket after the check-in time. I immediately opened the app, changed my ticket, and ran straight to the boarding gate. Downstairs, I immediately saw the green train pulled up on the track. At the carriage door was an attendant in a dark blue uniform, looking to be in her early 20s, with meticulous makeup and a faint smile on her face. I was about to pull out my ID when she spoke first. Please board first. At the same time, she handed me a worn little booklet. The cover was printed with the words "Passenger Rules." I didn't recall having this kind of thing on previous train rides. When my finger brushed the booklet, a chilling sensation seeped into my skin. I instinctively wanted to pull my hand back, but the attendant held my hand firmly and pressed the booklet into it. "Remember to sit in your correct seat," she added, her smile unchanged. "Tickets will be checked once the train is underway." "Thank you." Suppressing the strange feeling in my heart, I quickly boarded the train. As soon as I stepped into the carriage, I heard a sharp argument. "Do you have any common sense? Seat 68 is mine. It's clearly marked on the ticket." A young woman with a ponytail, her face flushed red, glared at a short, stout, middle-aged woman. The auntie sat unmoving, not even glancing up, scrolling on her phone with the volume blaring. "Oh, chill out. Why all the fuss? I'm already sitting here. Look around, aren't there plenty of empty seats?" She impatiently gestured with her chin for the girl to find another place to sit. Such a rigid person. The girl's eyes were red with anger. She looked around and seeing that there were indeed many empty seats, finally gave up arguing with the auntie. She dragged her heavy suitcase and sat down in seat 62, diagonally across from the auntie. What bad luck, running into such an unreasonable person. I shook my head in exasperation, withdrew my gaze, and looked for my own seat. Good news! My seat was empty. Bad news. In the seat across the aisle, an auntie wearing flip-flops was casually propping her smelly, pungent feet on the seat right next to mine. An indescribable odor hit my nostrils, and my stomach churned. I immediately regretted my hasty decision to change my ticket. How can I sit here? Maybe I should just take an empty seat. But, for some reason, the attendant's words, "Remember to sit in your correct seat," echoed in my mind. Fine, I'll endure it. I held my breath and stubbornly sat down in my spot. I took out my phone, intending to distract myself, but realized my data was almost gone from the previous train. Great, the only source of entertainment is gone. My senses were forced to focus on the undeniable stench. Every second felt like torture. I had to find some way to redirect my attention. My eyes fell on the passenger rules booklet in my hand. I opened it. Rule 1, please sit in the seat designated on your ticket. If you do not have a corresponding ticket, the staff has the right to ask you to leave the train. Rule 2, please do not place any objects not belonging to the seat onto the seat. Otherwise, cleaning staff will treat them as garbage and dispose of them. Rule 3, smoking is strictly prohibited in all areas of the carriage. Smoking is harmful to your health. Rule 4, please keep quiet and do not speak loudly to avoid disturbing other passengers. Rule 5, when the train stops at a station, please confirm if the station name matches your destination. If it does not match, do not get off the train, as you will not have the opportunity to get back on board. Rule 6, if you have any questions during the journey, You may ask the attendant at any time, but please remember that the attendant will only wear a dark blue uniform. These rules seemed like normal train regulations at first glance, but for some reason, they carried an unsettling feeling. Perhaps I was just too tired. Or perhaps the foul smell of the auntie's feet opposite me had numbed my brain, preventing me from thinking straight. Save me. I truly don't want to sit here for another second. Should I move to another seat? Used as I was about to stand up, a sweet voice rang out. Please remain seated, passengers, and prepare your identification. We will begin checking tickets. I'll wait until the check is over. The attendant first approached a young man wearing glasses. He calmly presented his ID. The attendant checked it and smiled as she returned it. The young man gave a slight nod, then looked back down at his laptop, seemingly oblivious to everything around him. The ticket check continued quickly until it reached the auntie sitting in seat 68. Ma'am, please present your identification. The auntie rolled her eyes, impatiently put down her phone, and slowly rummaged through her bag before pulling out her ID and slapping it on the small table. Here. The attendant took the ID and scanned it, her smile completely unchanged. Ma'am, your seat number is 95. This is not your seat. Please exit the train. Exit the train? The auntie raised her voice, her spit nearly hitting the attendant's face. Are you sick? It's not like I don't have a ticket. I just changed seats. She looked towards seat 62. The girl who actually had ticket 68 wasn't there. She must have gone to the restroom. Please exit the train, the ticket attendant repeated. What kind of joke is this? The train is moving. How can I get off? That's right, the train is moving. How can she get off? Very quickly, I knew the answer. The ticket attendant unhesitatingly opened the train door. I couldn't understand why the scenery outside was rushing by. The train was clearly moving, yet there wasn't the slightest draft inside the carriage. It's moving so fast outside, how can I? The auntie's question was abruptly cut off. The attendant's arm suddenly elongated and became impossibly thin, instantly piercing through the auntie's chest. Fresh blood splattered everywhere, even puncturing the seat. That bizarre arm swung lightly like discarding a piece of trash and hurled the heavy, convulsing body out of the train. Immediately afterward, the train door slammed shut with a clang. The ticket attendant shook that monstrous arm, and in mere seconds, it returned to its normal shape. Then, she took a pristine white tissue from her pocket and slowly wiped the blood from her hand. She looked at the passengers who were stunned into silence by fear, maintaining her unchanging smile. Her voice was gentle and pleasant. Ticket checking continues. Please pay attention, everyone, and be sure to sit in your correct seats. The stench of blood filled the air. I tried desperately to clamp my mouth shut. Cold sweat soaking my clothes. My teeth chattering uncontrollably. The auntie in flip-flops across from me had already pulled her feet back onto her own seat, trembling like a leaf in the wind. Behind me, a middle-aged man who had witnessed the bloody scene, his eyes wide with terror, seized the moment the attendant turned her back to wipe her hand. He stood up, hunched over, trying to sneak out of the carriage. The ticket attendant abruptly turned around, her gaze locking precisely onto the man in the aisle. Sir, where are you going? The man's lips trembled. I'm going to the restroom. Please present your identification first. The ticket attendant smiled, stepping toward him. I got on the wrong train, so you don't have a ticket. The attendant's smile seemed to deepen. No, wait! I'll buy a ticket now. I'll pay for the fare difference right now. He backed away in horror. I'm sorry, sir. This train does not support onboard ticket purchases. The monstrous arm, which had just returned to normal, was raised once more. No! The sharp arm pierced through his body. He didn't even have time to struggle. The ticket attendant skillfully opened the door, tossed the corpse out, and closed the door. Please maintain order. The ticket attendant swept her gaze over the nearly fainting passengers, her voice soft but carrying absolute menace. Ticket checking continues. Only heavy breathing remained in the carriage. No one dared to move. No one dared to speak. When the attendant reached me, I was practically melting into my seat, trembling as I presented my ID with both hands. She checked it, smiled, and returned it to me. Failure to comply with the rules truly means death. Just then, the girl who had gone to the restroom returned. She looked slightly puzzled by the silence in the carriage. Hello, ticket check. Please present your ID. Which seat are you in? 68. Seat 68. The girl startled, quickly pulling out her ID. The attendant scanned it and returned it. All right, please return to your correct seat. The girl took back her ID and took a step, then suddenly froze, her face turning pale as she saw the terrifying, large hole and surrounding bloodstains on the back of seat 68. She nearly screamed. Is there a problem? No, nothing. Although she didn't know what had happened, the strange atmosphere in the carriage and the blood on the seat were enough for her to instinctively sense something was wrong. She walked stiffly toward seat 62, the one she had sat in before. Oh no, sitting in the wrong seat. That's no different from seeking death. I had to warn her. But what if speaking up was considered a violation of the rule about keeping quiet? Seeing her about to pass me, I gently tugged the corner of her shirt. She turned to me in terror. You have to sit in your own seat, I whispered, my eyes never leaving the dark blue figure a few feet away. The ticket attendant was still working, seemingly unaware of my action. I gambled correctly. I had sensed earlier that these rules were almost identical to normal train rules, except that the consequences for violation were devastating. Therefore, I thought that behaviors allowed on a normal train, such as quiet conversation, would likely not be forbidden. And that proved to be true. But that seat. The girl's voice was a choked sob, her eyes fearfully fixed on the bloody seat. Just then, the ticket attendant seemed to sense something. Her movements suddenly stopped, and her head swiveled unnaturally, turning little by little toward us. Her face, with its unchanging smile, locked onto us, filled with undisguised malice and an utterly chilling anticipation. The girl instantly froze, barely daring to breathe. She closed her eyes and collapsed onto the blood-soaked seat 68, gripping the armrests tightly, her knuckles white from the immense force. The ticket attendant's eyes seemed to flash with a subtle disappointment when the girl sat down, but she said nothing more, maintaining that terrifying smile as she continued checking tickets until she disappeared at the end of the carriage. What in the world is going on? The girl's voice was shaky, as if she had just escaped death. She still didn't dare look at the bloody hole beside her. Our seats were back to back, making it easier to talk. I softly recounted what had happened on the train. I was about to pull out the passenger rules booklet when I realized the small table in front of me was empty. It was gone. Since when? Is something wrong? Nothing. I instinctively concealed the matter of the passenger rules booklet. A chill flooded through me. With the exchange between the girl and me, murmurs of inquiry began to spread through the carriage. Although the ticket attendant did not react to normal conversations, everyone spoke softly, terrified that the slightest mistake would cross the deadly line. What is going on here? A young man who looked like a student asked in a trembling voice. Is that a monster? Yes, her arm was completely inhuman, a young mother agreed. Her hands unconsciously tightening, causing the baby in her arms to fuss uncomfortably. She quickly covered the child's mouth, her eyes darting nervously toward the attendant standing at the connection between carriages. Fortunately, she didn't attract attention. Did we get on a ghost train? In the corner of the carriage, a girl buried her face in her boyfriend's shoulder in fear. The boyfriend patted her back reassuringly, whispering, "There's no such thing in this world." As soon as the words left his mouth, he froze. If it's not a ghost, then what is happening right now? A man in a suit hastily pulled out his phone, his finger trembling as he unlocked the screen, but then despair filled his face. No signal. Absolutely no bars. Fear spread through the carriage, but the auntie in flip-flops opposite me seemed less afraid now, and once again propped her feet onto the seat. At this moment, the man with glasses, the first person to have his ticket checked, finally looked up from his laptop. He adjusted his spectacles, looking over the panicked crowd. Everyone, calm down. The priority now is to find a solution. Currently, it seems the attendant only kills those who are not in their correct seats. She isn't killing indiscriminately. No, that's not right. She kills those who violate the rules, I was certain, because when the girl just returned, that didn't sit in the correct spot, the attendant didn't immediately attack, but waited for her to sit down. Therefore, she killed for violating Rule 1. Why is no one thinking of the passenger rules booklet? Before I could think further, a pungent smell of cigarette smoke attracted everyone's attention. An annoyed, middle-aged man had taken out a cigarette and lit it. Someone reminded him to smoke in the vestibule. 2 people have died and you still care about those ridiculous rules? He took a deep drag and exhaled the smoke. The smoke in the paralyzed carriage became more provocative than ever. My heart sank. Rule 3. Smoking is strictly prohibited in all areas of the carriage. Smoking is harmful to your health. I wanted to warn him, but before, when I warned the girl to sit down, I could claim the attendant had already told her to sit correctly. But now? What could I say? More importantly, I quickly looked around the carriage. Although quite a few people showed displeasure at the man smoking, no one seemed worried. In the conversations just now, not a single person mentioned the strange booklet the attendant had given out. Even if they initially thought it was a common booklet, after experiencing those terrifying events, they should have remembered it. But looking around now, it seemed no one else had received the booklet. Could it be that the passenger rules booklet was given only to me? Just as I hesitated, the smoking man began to cough violently. The sound tearing through the silence, definitely not just a smoker's cough. His face flushed red at a visible speed. He frantically waved his hands, only to see that the smoke he had just exhaled did not dissipate. Instead, it seemed to have a life of its own, wrapping around his body, tightening and sinking into his skin. The man struggled to pull the smoke away, but it was futile. His thrashing and miserable screams abruptly stopped. His eyes froze in fear and pain, and his heavy body slumped onto the floor, motionless. Another death. The shadow of death once again fell, and the fear that had been temporarily eased by the short exchanges now spread throughout the carriage with greater intensity. How do we survive? Rapid, panicked breaths and uncontrollable dry heaving. The atmosphere in the carriage was more chaotic than before. It was no longer a train carriage, but a bomb that could explode at any moment. He shouldn't have died, if only. My shoulder was gently touched. I jumped and turned my head. It was the girl from seat 68. She looked terrified, but I felt guilty, and in her helpless eyes, I saw a faint look of inquiry. Why is it like this? What should we do? I should tell everyone. No one else can die due to lack of knowledge, even if it exposes my uniqueness. But just as I prepared to open my mouth, the voice of the man with glasses rang out. He stood at the carriage connection, looking directly at the attendant's sweet smile. Is there anything passengers need to pay special attention to and comply with on this train? His question was direct and precise, clearly seeking clear guidance for survival. That's right. Everyone was so panicked by fear that they forgot they could still ask the ticket attendant, even though she seemed completely unnatural. The ticket attendant slowly stepped into the carriage, pointing toward the wall. Of course, the rules you must follow are what all trains require. Everyone looked in the direction she was pointing, only to see a pasted set of writing instructions on the carriage wall. 1. Please sit in the correct seat on your ticket. 2. Keep the carriage clean. Do not place belongings on seats. 3. Smoking is strictly prohibited. 4. Please keep quiet. Do not speak loudly. 5. When the train arrives at a station, please alight on time. 6. If you have questions during the journey, ask the onboard staff. That's great! Although these instructions were much simpler than the passenger rules booklet, after witnessing the previous horrors, everyone would surely comply with these rules. This way, I didn't need to risk revealing the bizarre booklet. My eyes swept over the corpse of the middle-aged man. I'm sorry, although I feel terrible, I still hope to remain unnoticed. Rule 2. Keep the carriage clean. Could you be more specific? For example, is the current situation. The man with glasses paused briefly, his meaning clear without explicitly saying it. Is this considered clean? That's right. What counts as keeping clean? A carriage with a corpse lying there, the floor soaked with blood. How can that be called clean? If this violates Rule 2, doesn't it mean all of us will be deemed as not keeping the carriage clean? And will die? The fear that had just subsided resurfaced. The previous deaths could at least be blamed on individual actions, But what if the surrounding environment was deemed a rule violation? Passengers don't need to worry. The ticket attendant's smile remained perfectly flawless. Everyone only needs to ensure they don't leave personal belongings strewn on the seats. As for the carriage's cleanliness, the cleaning staff will deal with it immediately. Please relax, we will provide everyone with the best service. If this is considered the best service, I can't imagine what place has worse service. I couldn't help but think to myself, but she said we could relax. How could we relax? On this train to hell, the 3 words cleaning staff themselves carried an ominous meaning. What would it be? Another monster in uniform? Or something even more bizarre? It cleans, but will it only clean the trash? Just as the ticket attendant said, not long after, the cleaning staff appeared, pushing an old, rusty trolley that emitted a grating sound as it moved across the floor. She was heavily dressed, her face covered by a mask, but her movements were incredibly swift. She roughly stuffed the still warm corpse of the middle-aged man into a thick, black plastic bag and placed it on the trolley. Then, she vigorously wiped the blood-stained seat and floor. However, the blood had seeped deep into the fabric covering the seat. No matter what she did, the stain remained. Is the cleaning done? I held my breath, hoping she would leave quickly. She didn't leave. She was heading this way. She was walking toward me. All I could hear was my own frantic heartbeat, along with the dry sound of the trolley wheels rolling on the floor. What did I do wrong? Which rule did I violate? I frantically searched my mind. The only rule related to the cleaning staff was Rule 2, do not place any objects not belonging to the seat onto the seat. If so, the cleaning staff will treat them as garbage and dispose of them. What counts as an object not belonging to the seat? There is only me on my seat. If it's because of this, why only target me? What about the others? That's not fair. Everyone is clearly sitting in their own seats. The sound of the wheels grew clearer. Finally, the trolley carrying the corpse stopped right next to my seat. The cleaning staff bent down, a hand reaching out, and the pungent smell of blood rushed straight into my nostrils. Just when I thought I was about to die, the hands unexpectedly reached past me. Not me. Before I could sigh in relief, I saw the cleaning staff grab the feet of the auntie sitting opposite me. She screamed in horror, struggling violently. Track. The cleaning staff, expressionless, brutally tore the auntie's feet off. Fresh blood sprayed everywhere, even hitting my clothes. So this is what is considered objects not belonging to the seat. The carriage fell into a deathly silence, broken only by the auntie's painful moans and the sound of the cleaning staff wiping the seat. Everyone now clearly understood the horror of the phrase, "Do not place any objects not belonging to the seat." No one dared to say a word. No one dared to make any extra move, terrified of violating some rule. After the cleaning staff left, I tremblingly opened my phone, checking the time to the next station. It should be soon, right? I just need to endure until I get off the train, if this bizarre train can actually reach a station normally. Boom! The train suddenly stopped without warning. The strong inertia sent everyone pitching forward. Did we arrive? But outside the window, there was only solid blackness. No station, no lights, nothing. Just then, the ticket attendant appeared again. "Dear passengers, please don't panic. The train has not yet reached the station. This is just a temporary stop." She paused as if savoring everyone's fear. "To prevent everyone from getting bored while waiting, we will organize a fun game to help you pass the time." What now? I had absolutely no idea how to deal with this situation. Suddenly, a cold sensation radiated from my hand. I looked down, and there was the passenger rules booklet that had disappeared earlier. Now, it had reappeared. I subtly glanced around. Everyone's attention was focused on the attendant's words. No one noticed my abnormality. I quietly flipped open the passenger rules booklet. Sometimes the train will encounter special situations and needs to stop temporarily. Please don't worry. Our staff will organize games for your enjoyment. Here's the list of games. 1. Truth or Dare. 2. Story Chain. 3. Pictionary. 4. Wrong Answer Challenge. Notes: staff will usually choose the most suitable game. If passengers wish to change the game, they may suggest it at any time. every game is meticulously prepared with all our heart. We sincerely hope all passengers will actively participate and believe you will have an unforgettable experience. The ticket attendant's voice continued. This is a very simple game, truth or dare. I'm sure everyone has played it, right? After it ends, we will give a small gift. Of course, we highly respect your personal wishes. It's fine if you don't want to participate. Do you want to participate? A trembling voice sounded near my ear. It was the girl from seat 68. I dare not play. This is definitely not a normal game. No, you can't refuse. Refusal will have severe consequences. The meaning of the passenger rules booklet was already too clear. Participation is mandatory. Why? The girl leaned toward me. I instinctively wanted to hide the booklet behind me, but unexpectedly, the booklet disappeared again. She looked at my empty hands, her face slightly strange. You know something, don't you? Before I could answer, a choked voice rang out. I don't want to play. Dear passenger, are you sure you want to refuse to participate? Certain. That's a shame. We prepared very carefully, the attendant said with regret, but the smile on her face deepened. Her hand once again stretched out, piercing through the person's body. Well then, please rest well. Does anyone else wish to refuse? Refusal meant death. Who would dare to refuse now? Thank you for everyone's enthusiastic participation. Are there any other questions? If not, let's begin the game. I would like to ask when the train will be able to start moving again, the man with glasses spoke up. To this point, he still maintained his composure. This question touched the heart of everyone. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the attendant's answer. Regarding the train's departure time, I am very sorry, but the conditions for departure have not yet been met. We ask passengers for your patience. Her words were like a fog, bringing no hope but planting deeper fear in everyone's hearts. What are the conditions for the train to depart? Are they related to us? It seems there are no other questions. Then the game officially begins. The ticket attendant gently pointed into the air, and a spinning wheel and a box appeared out of nowhere. The order will be determined by the wheel. Based on the attendant's words, I understood the rules of the game. The order would be decided by the wheel. The ticket attendant would also participate. The chosen person would select truth or dare. If dare was chosen, a specific challenge would be drawn from the box. If truth was chosen, the wheel would continue to spin to select the person asking the question. If the person failed, they would have to rest, die. The first player was the woman holding the child. Truth. The wheel spun, and the questioner was me. Do you have a child? I thought this was a very easy question to answer. No, I don't. What? I looked at her in astonishment. She avoided my gaze. She's a trafficker. That baby is not hers. The ticket attendant smiled meaningfully, said nothing, and pointed to the wheel. This time, the chosen person was the ticket attendant. I choose truth. She gently spun the wheel, which finally stopped on the man with glasses. His left eye socket was still dripping blood. Miss Attendant, the man with glasses asked, "My question is, what kind of sinner do you think can be forgiven?" What is he doing? Just confirming if the same question can be asked again? No, that's not right. How can he waste the chance to ask a question for this? Clearly, he has realized that this carriage is full of sinners. He is probing the attendant's standards. He wants to determine what kind of sin can be forgiven, thereby finding a sliver of hope for survival. But he was wrong, completely wrong. The decision of whether a sin can be forgiven has never belonged to the ticket attendant. Such an interesting question. The attendant's smile was unchanged, even looking more amused. My meaning is very simple. Sinners are not worthy of forgiveness. The game continued until the wheel stopped on a man whose face was pale as a corpse. 3 people had already chosen truth before this. He had no other choice and was forced to reach into the box, drawing out a piece of paper. As soon as he saw the contents on the paper, he immediately threw it onto the floor, screaming, "No, absolutely not. I can't do it." The paper fell to the ground. Written on it was, "Tear off your 2 hands. I won't do it." The man completely collapsed. He scrambled up, running madly out of the carriage. A miserable scream sounded from the next carriage, then abruptly ceased. At this moment, the ticket attendant spoke in a cheerful tone. The departure condition has been met. Please remain seated, everyone. The train will immediately start moving. Game over. Along with her words, the train began to shake. The train was running. The carriage plunged into a deathly silence. An uncontrollable thought surfaced in my mind. Could it be that human death is the condition for the train's departure? Then, can we survive until the final station? In the suffocating silence, the next station arrived. The lights outside the window were bright, and there were passengers who looked exactly like those at a normal station. No one dared to move. The train doors opened, and passengers on the platform boarded naturally. The noisy chatter, the sound of luggage wheels rolling, everything was strangely normal. Get off the train? Everyone hesitated, unable to decide. Getting off the train posed an unknown risk, but staying on the train seemed even more hopeless. The man with glasses stood up, walked to the carriage connection, and asked the attendant, "Can we get off the train now?" Of course. Hearing the certain answer, many people grabbed the lifeline, rushing toward the door. After all, the attendant had seemingly never lied before, but I knew we couldn't get off the train. I looked at the attendant's uniform, which had inexplicably changed to red. Rule 5. When the train stops at a station, please confirm if the station name matches your destination. If it does not match, do not get off the train, as you will not have the opportunity to get back on board. Rule 6. During the journey, if you have any questions, you may ask the attendant. But please remember that the attendant will only wear a dark blue uniform. It's not my station yet, I can't get off. Those people rushing out are definitely not passengers of this train. Getting off only leads to death. The girl behind me looked at the chaotic crowd and couldn't restrain herself, standing up too. I pulled her back. You can't get off the train. Is this the station written on your ticket? Who cares about that now? She angrily pulled my hand away, pointing at the people who had just gotten off the train. Look, they got off and they're fine. She blamed me. I felt annoyed, regretting my good intentions. Should I tell her the rules? The more detailed rules? I couldn't tell her. Perhaps I was wrong. Shouldn't have interfered with others' business from the start. Then you get off. She stood still, finally not moving. The train doors closed and the train continued running. I looked around the carriage. Besides her and me, a few other people hadn't gotten off the train. Surprisingly, the man with glasses also remained. He looked at me with his one remaining eye. I immediately avoided his gaze. The new passengers brought their noise. Some played loud videos, some lay across an entire row of seats, and some held cigarettes, the smoke billowing. This didn't comply with the rules, but no one reminded them. The survivors looked blankly at the new passengers' rule violations, completely indifferent. A warped sense of luck emerged. If they violated the rules and were fine, didn't that prove we had truly escaped the previous bizarre events? That meant the next station might be safe to disembark, a true escape from danger. The imagined things didn't happen. The rule violators didn't die, and the next station didn't arrive either. The train ran in endless darkness. At first, the new passengers were comfortable. Some even complained that the train was delayed again. But 1 hour, 2 hours passed, and the station lights never appeared. What is going on? Why is this broken train running forever? I have a contract signing to get to. That's right, it's been too long. Where's the attendant? Ticket attendant? Where are you? When will we reach the station? Annoyance and panic spread through the carriage like a virus. The new passengers were slowly replaced by fear. The faces of the previous survivors grew even paler. They had endured the bloody game, thinking they had seen normalcy, believing the new passengers' safety meant the danger was over. But now, the continuously running train completely crushed their twisted luck. That despicable liar, the girl from seat 68 huddled in her seat, staring blankly at the floor, mumbling, her body trembling slightly. Just then, the one-eyed man with glasses suddenly stood up. His sole remaining eye was bloodshot, his face devoid of any composure, showing only the madness that came after prolonged torment by fear and uncertainty. His gaze locked on me and the girl in seat 68. Why? Why did you two always know the rules? Why didn't you get off the train back then? If it weren't for you two, I would have gotten off. All the passengers gasped and turned toward us, their eyes full of indignation. The new passengers, though they didn't understand the context, realized we seemed to be hiding something, their gazes unfriendly. I don't think they truly understood the man's accusation, but either way, they needed a target for their anger. Before I could figure out how to explain, the girl next to me screamed. It was her. She sprang from her seat, pointing at me, shouting with all her might, her expression contorted. It was always her who spoke up. She was the one who pulled me back and wouldn't let me get off. She was the one who knew those bizarre rules. She's the one who got us stuck in this hellhole. It's all her fault. I looked at her in disbelief. I saved her, but she betrayed me. Without me, she would have died long ago. She avoided my eyes, but the finger pointed at me was unwavering. The man with glasses spoke again, his voice utterly devoid of warmth. This time, just like before, as long as someone dies, the train will reach the station. This sentence was like the whisper of a demon, instantly igniting the rage in everyone's hearts. That's right, it must be. Kill her. Let her die. It's all her fault. Kill her. Faces young and old, male and female, all contorted into the same shape. Countless hands reached toward me. They wanted to kill me, to sacrifice me, to trade for their fragile path to survival. She was right. Sinners are not worthy of forgiveness. Observation complete. No errors confirmed. Proceed with full purge. Everyone's actions froze. They clearly didn't understand the meaning of my words. Observation complete. Shall I start the purging process now? The ticket attendant's sweet voice rang out, carrying the joy of someone about to finish their shift. Yeah, I sighed. You were right, as always. Hey, I told you. It's always the same. How many times have I been on this train? The script never changes. The observation is just for show. She sounded quite pleased, pressing the button to start the purging process. It's my first time doing this job. After all, I couldn't help but complain. You know, I used to be an NPC at Evergreen Station. This is my first time as an observer. Honestly, pulling me onto the train, shouldn't I get paid overtime? I initially wondered why this train arrived at Evergreen Station so early. Turns out, it was for my overtime. The way I see it, this position is completely redundant. The result is the same every time. You might as well save the money and give me a raise. Relax, you'll get the overtime pay. And didn't you initially feel that a full purge wasn't quite right? The folks upstairs worried about accidentally killing the wrong person. So they added this observation process, just as psychological comfort. Finally, the passengers couldn't bear our casual conversation anymore. What purge? What are you two talking about? You're not a passenger. Of course I'm not a passenger. I'm just an unlucky employee who was forced here on overtime to observe whether these sinful souls still have a chance at redemption. I initially thought maybe there would be someone who didn't deserve to die or might have a chance at forgiveness. But unfortunately, their actions have proven that anyone chosen by this train, could they possibly be good people? They are beyond saving. No one is innocent and no one is worthy. That passenger rules booklet was originally meant for staff use only. Passengers, of course, can't have it. They said there would rarely be unexpected situations, so I only needed to check the first page. I pouted. Who knew I'd run into this specific time? But in the end, didn't I show you everything anyway? No. The girl from seat 68 collapsed to the floor, kneeling. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Please forgive me. The other passengers also realized their predicament and began to beg. It's too late. The purging process has started. In a flash, everyone turned into a puddle of blood. The loudspeaker blared. Dear passengers, the train is approaching the final station, Evergreen Station. Please organize your personal belongings and mind the gap between the train and the platform when alighting. Thank you for traveling with us and supporting our work. We look forward to seeing you on your next trip. The train stopped. I shook hands with the ticket attendant for a farewell. Stepping out of the train door, I looked at the sign for Evergreen Station. Sigh. Back to work. This was the 102nd time I regretted choosing a job 1,000 miles from home.